feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the hottest part of Australia. It is literally the hottest part of Australia today in Melbourne. At least I think it is. It is hot as duck nuts here today. It is 110 degrees Fahrenheit down here. So I wanted to at least show you what's going on the opposite side of the world. It is not a very comfortable day down here. It is very, very warm, very summery down here. Very summery. Good to see you guys. I was walking around in a muscle shirt before, and I was like, I have to find a jumper, and this was the only one I could find. So you guys have to see the same one for a second day, unfortunately. Got an interesting story for you tonight. A story from the UK. Now, if you are in the UK, you may know that there was a TV show, and it's been around since 2017, and it's called Catching a Killer. And they only produce a season like once every 2 years. So once every couple of years, they make a new season of the show, and it's interesting why they do that. I don't know why they do it every 2 years, but they sort of do. Anyway, a new episode came out, well, I think it was last night in the UK, and it's called Buried Truth. And I want to talk to you about it because it has an insight into something that we often have to deal with in other crimes, like in America and in Australia and things like that. And that is a landfill search. This has a big part of it is a landfill search, and they produced like a small documentary about landfill searching for this victim. And I thought, well, we should have a look at it because we might be able to apply it to other cases and see the type of work it actually takes to try and find a person who's been put into the landfill. And I'm telling you, this took weeks and weeks to find this guy. And unlike some other cases, this guy wasn't dismembered. So in some of them that we've dealt with, that people have been dismembered and put into different bins. That's very difficult. This one is a person who was a whole body, and that makes it somewhat easier, but still it is not for the faint of heart. And you have to commend the police for going about this, spending weeks of time to try and bring someone home. And I'll go through it. So I'm probably going to mispronounce people's names here, but I will do my best. Now, our perpetrator in this one, his last name is Dinler, and he is accused of killing a young man. And when you guys hear some of the details about this, you guys are going to freak. So here's what it says here. We're looking for that guy. He's in the thumbnail. His name is Ceyhan Dinler. Here's his photo. This is what he looks like. And he is wanted by Essex Police. There is a $10,000 reward for information because he has fled overseas. After he committed this crime, he fled the UK, and they are trying to track him down. And the victim in this crime is a man named Cumali Turhan. And this all happened in Chelmsford in the UK. Now, what happened is they're saying on November 18, 2024, Cumali had met Dinler for a drink at the Globe pub before they walked to a place called the Barista Bar on Duke Street, Chelmsford. Cumali never made it out of that um, bar alive. They believe he died in there that night. Essex police later learned that his body had been put into a bin after he was killed. A second man named Cyprian was jailed for 7 years in October for assisting an offender. It's assisting someone with murder and preventing the lawful and decent burial of a body. He's now in jail for that 7 year sentence. Essex police are trying to locate Ceyhan Dinler. This is the main culprit that they really want to get. They believe he is the one responsible for killing Cumali. So they want to track him down. They're not 100% sure where he is either, somewhere overseas. But the reason I want to show this to you is I want to show you what the police had to go through to find the victim. And it's impressive. It really is. Now, they searched a landfill in Essex for 47 days, and that was to find the 45-year-old victim. Working 10 hours a day in extremely difficult conditions, the officers meticulously and sensitively searched an area of 5,000 square meters around the size of a full-size football field. And they're saying they were searching up to 5 meters deep in certain places. And they're saying the team hunted through over 1,500 tons of waste before they found the victim. They're saying it is believed that no other force in the country has ever recovered a body from a landfill site during an active police search. This is why I wanted to bring it to you. I've done landfill searches from Canada, USA, Australia, but never in the UK. I have never seen one, and that's why I thought it would be something we could all learn together and add it to our sort of knowledge bank, because we've done a few of them, and we always go, well, what if they'll put in the rubbish? And we have one that is outstanding, where we think the victim was put in the rubbish, and that is that missing mom out of the USA. They believe her husband dismembered her and put her in rubbish bins around the area. So that one's a bit very difficult. But I thought maybe we could have a look at this and see this guy was put in there whole, and then try and apply it to other crimes. And you'll see just how crazy it is here. So I want to take you to the search for him, and then I'll tell you some more details about what happened that night inside of that club and what happened to Cumali. All right? Because it's really, his death was very, very traumatic. All right. And I'll tell you why he was killed, or why they believe he was killed. All right. This is from Essex Police. It doesn't go for very long, about a minute, but I want to show you the depths of what it took to bring him home.
The size of the area that we had was about 5,000 square meters. So think of that as a full-size football pitch, if you will. But we were going down to depths of up to 5 meters. So we had a really good system in place. Because we had some heavy machinery there, we were able to use a grabber that would pick up the waste that we had there, put it into a larger truck where we take off about a meter at a time, have that searched, come back, and then do the next bit. So we were always systematic in our approach as to what we were doing.
This is how they did it. They would take off, like I said, about a meter at a time, and be there with rakes and rake through it for 47 days. 10-hour shifts for almost 50 days, that these officers did this to try and bring this guy back to his family. I think that's absolutely amazing. I can't imagine the police that put their hand up to go do that. It's really, really impressive. Um, so they are trying to find the um the suspect. They want to speak to Mr. Dinler in connection with Cumali's death. And what they believe happened inside of that pub is I'm going to detail it to you. They believe when he got in there was an argument, and that obviously, and what they believe happened is that Cumali and Dinler were basically in a sort of relationship with the same woman. Cumali didn't care that the woman was seeing someone else. He was sort of like, yeah, that's okay. Like, we're not official. It's sort of like a friends with benefits situation. I'm not that concerned. But the other guy, Dinler, was really, really uh, possessive, jealous, didn't like that this woman was also seeing Cumali, and he was basically yelling at him before his murder, saying like, cut it out. You're not going to do this. Leave it alone. She's mine. Basically trying to get this guy to go away from this other woman. And it escalated to the point where when they went to this second location, he was stabbed to death. But that's not the thing I want to talk to you about. We hear a lot of different types of murder, people being stabbed or shot or suffocated or strangulated. There's a lot of different ways that happens, but that's not the detail I want to talk to you about. During the assault on Cumali, they believe someone, most likely Mr. Dinler, pulled out his tongue and held it so tight that peri-mortem, so pre-death, it bruised the tip of his tongue, and then took a bladed instrument and cut his tongue off. Cut his tongue off. Like, why? Why? If you're going to kill him with a knife, why do you need to cut his tongue off before he was dead? This didn't happen post-mortem. Happened peri-mortem. So before death, he had to live through his tongue being cut from his mouth. It is horrific. Horrific. Yeah. Really, really awful. And then Cyprian, who's the other person involved, he's the one who was basically done with being an accessory to murder or assisting an offender. What he did was, in the police interview that you see on the show, he told the cops everything. He was like, "I was called in to help clean up some mess, some blood," and then he's like, "Well, there was a body," and he's like, I just picked it up and I just put it in a bin." They're like, "Wait," they're like, "What do you mean you put it in a bin?" And he's like, "Well, I just decided that that's the best thing to do to clean up. I just I was told to clean the area, so I just picked up the body and put it in a bin." And that's how they found out that Cumali had been put into the rubbish system, and that to find him, they would have to go and do this. They would have to go to the landfill site and go and look for him. And it's really confronting to see someone just very forwardly say, "Oh yeah, I just put him in the bin." Like, the guy wasn't even that sad. He was just like, "I was told to do a job, I did a job, I put a body in the bin, and then I left for the day." As if it was like some paper or a rubbish bag or something. Like, he was just like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, well, that's what we do, we put bodies in the bin." So yeah, very heartless, although he did try to appeal to police, saying he was very dumb, he made a mistake, but I feel like he only said that because the cops had him in custody and sort of knew that he was involved. It was, yeah, it's really, really sad. So, what can you do? They want to try and find Mr. Dinler, and they would like to track him down. Now, they're not 100% sure where he is right now. It's been a couple of years. So, this all happened in 2024 in November. And since then, the day after, so the very next day after Cumali was killed, Mr. Dinler hopped on a plane out of the UK and disappeared. And even though the police have tried to track him down, they have not been able to find him. They have not been able to locate him. Um, I'm just trying to see if we have the other bit of thing here. Yep, yep, yep. See, I didn't. I just want. There's another thing of him hopping on the plane, and I want to see if I can show it to you. Okay. All right. I'm gonna take you to another thing from Essex Police. And this is some CCTV from the night in question, and they do show this on the show. And this shows you Mr. Dinler and Cumali at a bar. This is the first location before they go back to the place where they believe he was killed. And you'll see this conversation about the woman. That's what they believe they're talking about. And you'll see how Dinler gets very animated, very, very sort of irate. And you'll see it here as we go through it. So they're having a chat. They say everything seems okay. Like they don't seem that upset. They didn't show it all to you? Damn. Ah, so I can tell you what happened. So when you see this footage, they look, pretty friendly, like meeting an acquaintance, at a bar. But the conversation quickly turns very animated, and there's a lot of hand gesturing. There's a lot of like this, and sort of like that, and very angry, emotive body language. And they believe that's what they're talking about. They're talking about this woman, and Dinlo wants Kumali to basically break up with her, like, or stop seeing her, stop having sex with her, basically. Um, so they, so they do. They know where he left from, and I'm about to take you to that now. They do know where he sort of left from. So on the 19th of November, that's the day after, it was the 18th in 2024, was the day, well, the 19th is the day they're saying here that Komali disappeared. It was sort of like that overnight time, so between the 18th and the 19th. But anyway, during the later part of the 19th, he was seen at Stansted Airport. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And he left the country, but I don't believe they gave us what country he flew out of. They have that footage, and you do see it in the documentary. Let me see if I can find it. Um, I'm just having a look at another source here. I don't know if they ever did tell us what country they believe he might have gone to. I'm just checking another paper here. Yeah, I don't think they've given us a country of where he might have gone to. I don't know why they won't tell us. Yeah, they don't tell us the country, unfortunately. It just says, the suspect in the killing, Ceyhan Dinler, has never been found and left the UK via Stansted Airport on November 19, the day after Mr. Turhan was reported missing. That's it. They don't give us I don't know why they don't give us a country, but they don't. Hmm. I don't know. Here's the footage. This is him at the airport. So later that same day, he walks through the airport, jumps on a plane, and leaves the UK. I would love to know what country it is too. Um, I don't know. They're just saying if you have seen him, to call in to Crime Stoppers in the UK. Yeah, I'll keep researching that, but yeah, no location of what plane he hopped on and where he went to. I wonder if they believe even though he left the country on a plane, it's 2 years later now and that he could be anywhere. So is there really a point in telling people where he flew to? Because he could have just hopped on another flight and headed to a different country or something like that. So I wonder if that's why they're not telling anyone. Hey Sean, how are you? Yeah, that's what I think too. I think they probably believe he just wanted to get out of the country any way possible, jumped on a flight to anywhere outside of the UK, and then probably went somewhere after that too. So I wonder if that's why. Montana said the woman they were fighting over, she is not safe. Well, there's no one in the UK anymore that they know of. That's true. Yeah, it seems very short-sighted, right? So you're going to have this argument about being in this relationship with this woman. You kill your love rival, and then you have to flee the country anyway because of your crime, and you don't get to be with the girl anyway. It's very stupid. It's very dumb thinking. It really is. But they say here that during the trial, this was for Cyprian. That's the guy that was charged basically as being an accessory. The court heard Mr. Turhan had allegedly had a relationship with Mr. Dinler's girlfriend, and there was an ongoing and simmering issue between the men. Mr. Turhan is thought to have been in the Barista Bar on Duke Street after being at the Globe Pub on Rainsford Road. CCTV shows him entering but not leaving that location, the Barista Bar. Jurors were told during Cyprian's 3-week trial at Chelmsford Crown Court that the tip of Mr. Turhan's tongue and his genitals were severed during that attack inside the Barista Bar. Uh, the injury that killed him, they believe he was stabbed in the neck. So one of the attacks, the knife entered his neck, and they believe he died from blood loss after being cut there. Um, the tip of Mr. Turhan's tongue and his penis were later found in a bin, and the victim's body was dumped in a different commercial bin behind the bar. The second bin was later collected and then taken to a landfill site, leading to the landfill search that we showed you. So, brutal, absolutely brutal. They're saying here, by the way, Cumali also leaves behind a ex-partner and a small daughter, a small child. He had a daughter that was his, pride and joy, and unfortunately he leaves her behind And there's a bit at the end of the documentary where they have like a little memorial garden set up for him, and you see her trying to talk to her dad. She's only little, and she says things like, "My daddy's up there in the clouds in heaven." And the mum goes, "That's right. That's where he is. He's in heaven watching over us." And she says, "My dad's watching over us." And that was absolutely heartbreaking to hear a like 6-year-old child verbalize what it means to miss her dad. And it's all because of this guy here, or at least allegedly. It's this guy here did it for really no reason. When you think about it, like we said before, what did anyone gain out of this? Anyone? What did anyone gain? Well, Mr. Dinler is now on the run as a wanted person. Cumali is dead. Another guy, Cyprian, is now in jail for 7 years for helping clean up the crime scene. Who out of these three people or anyone else gained anything? Nothing, right? No one. No one gained a single thing. In Turkey, I heard that the other guy was a Turkish nationalist, and I was like, well, maybe that's a connection, but it doesn't. Is that what they say? Hold on. Yeah, Turkey. Okay, yeah. Dinler boarded a plane to Turkey from London Stansted Airport and has not been seen since. It is thought that he is on the run in Turkey. Okay. So does Turkey have a extradition to the UK? Does Turkey with the UK? Apparently, yes. That's interesting to me. I know Turkey has helped out the USA, and I know they've done it with the UK too. But I'm interested to know why, if the cops think he is in the UK, why they're not been leaning on their sort of Interpol um, and authorities over in Turkey. That's interesting because if they do have that extradition, then if they can find him and arrest him in Turkey, then they can bring him back to the UK for trial. Yeah, it's really sad. His body, he was basically stripped naked before being dumped in the bin after being attacked, stabbed, his tongue or like part of his tongue cut off, and then his pineapple cut off as well. And then they basically dumped him in a bin, commercial bin, and his body went to landfill. It's you know, should never have happened. So this is interesting. Cyprian, the guy who helped clean up the scene, apparently he's the one who put Kamali's body into the commercial bin, and then he also went and got fresh clothing for Dinler and gave him fresh clothes so that he could escape and not have blood all over him. He definitely deserved to be charged over helping someone commit and cover up a murder. I agree. I think that he definitely deserves his 7 years in jail. Um, so the fight that they had, I told you was about a woman, right? And this is what it says in the court documents here. Um, the court heard that Dinler and Cumali were well known in the local Turkish community. It was said that there was an ongoing and simmering issue between the pair, as Cumali had a relationship with Mr. Dinler's girlfriend, and they said Dinler was greatly angered by what had taken place. The woman was said to have cheated on Dinler with Cumali in the spring of last year, and this led to an incident where Dinler punched Cumali in the face, resulting in a black eye. It was said that Dinler had lost his mind about her and the situation. In September of 2024, a man known by the pair and aware of the disagreements brought them together to apologize to one another to try and resolve the situation. CCTV images shown to jurors captured Mr. Turhan drinking in a local pub late on November 18. He was joined by Dinler with no evident hostility before the pair were then recorded walking to another bar nearby. It was inside that bar that Dinler is accused of inflicting a fatal stab wound to Cumali's neck, cutting off the tip of his tongue and his pineapple. So there you go. Pretty awful. And they got very lucky. Just before 8:30 a.m. the next morning, the commercial bin that Cumali's body had been placed in was emptied into a truck and taken away to landfill. That's very lucky. The fact that you know what's strange? With a few of these murders where people have been put into a rubbish bin or something like that, so often a few hours later, it is emptied by the company. It has happened frequently in cases where a few hours after the murder, the truck comes and empties the bin. I don't know if killers are very lucky or the rubbish companies are just very, very quick and efficient at their job. But that is happened more than one time. Let's have a look. So apparently it took 1,650 so what they call like shifts for the officers. So it took 1,650 10-hour shifts to find his body. That's insane. What would that be in like hours? Hold on. So 1,650 times 10. So 16,500 hours. Like that's worker hours. That's for everyone. So everyone who worked trying to find Cumali in the landfill, 16,500. That is a hell of an effort. His mom? You'll have to be like Quentin Simon, his mama sat there and waited for the garbage to be picked up. That's true. I remember that. That is very true. Hey Texas, how are you? Good to see you. All right. Let's go to I have more about it, so hold on. There's been a surrounding this documentary in the UK, there's been a big push to try and find out like what happened to Mr. Dinler and Cumali. So hold on. All right. So here you can listen to the 911 call, and this is what started the investigation to look for Cumali.
Essex Police, what's your emergency?
We have friends, but from last night till now, we can't hear about him. We keep asking everyone, but nobody seen him.
So that is only part of it. It's much longer in the documentary. And the caller goes on to say, he's like, oh, we all know Cumali. We've all been worried. We've been looking for him. You know, everyone around here knows who he is, but we can't find him. haven't been able to locate him. He's always here, and he's like, we're all very worried about him, and that is what kicked off the investigation. And then they found out Ceyhan Dinler most likely killed him inside the barista bar in Chelmsford. Let me see if I have another. Okay. Got another one here. So you see him walking. Yeah, let's go back. Ceyhan Dinler is wanted in connection with the murder of Cumali Turhan in Chelmsford. And there you go. Cumali was a father, a son, a friend. His life was cut short at the age of 45. And they're saying his loved ones deserve justice. So that is true. Yeah, let's see if we can zoom in. You can tell not a lot of people around at that time of night. I believe in November it's very cold too. Some of the video they showed, it just looked like there's a reason why no one's hanging out on the street because it was icy cold. Ain't no one wanting to hang around in the rain and the wet and no one wants to be outdoors. Yeah, there we go. So let me see if I can show you the long. Maybe I can show you the long version. Hold on. I might be able to. Um, Let me see if I can load up this video. Yeah, we can probably do this. If I can go here. Yeah, so that is Cyprian explaining to police through a translator that he basically went in there and was like, "Oh, there's like a dead guy over there," and I was like, "Oh, I was just gonna clean a bit, and no problem." And like when you see the crime scene, I don't want to play too much because it is copyrighted, but if we kind of go over here, I want to see if we can take you to the crime scene, maybe. Oh, this is the longest CC. Jump forward a little bit. I want to see if I can show you the actual crime scene. No. Where's the crime scene? Here we go. So they're inside of that bar where they are located, well, where they think he died. There's the bins. This is where the bins were. I want to take you to. Go back. In to see what's inside of it, inside of the bar where they believe, and they got it all laid out on these white paper. And they find like this a lot of things after being cleaned up with somebody being stabbed and having their bit of their tongue cut off, and they just find like all this blood soaked tissue and cloth. And then in this bin they also find that tip of his tongue and part of his pineapple, and that's what they've like emptied these bins out and spread it out all over the floor of the crime scene. So I don't know if they show it. I don't think they do. No, they don't. But you can kind of see if we go back how much it doesn't really show it, but they got all this stuff laid out. And there was another one. There was a lot of alcohol bottles. I don't think we're gonna. Oh, maybe. There you go. You can see all the items that they found in the bin behind the bar, including like bottles that had blood on it too, cleaning products, these purple type of cloths that had a lot of blood from trying to wipe up the crime scene. That's Cyprian, the one who was arrested as an accessory. He did that from trying to clean up the area. There you go. Some more things found in the trash. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see too much more. There's the landfill that they searched. Just trying to see if we'll get any more from the... So, after Cumali was killed, he just hopped on a plane like that straight away. So, there you go. Sean said, I can't believe he actually grabbed the guy's pecker in the bar, let alone cut it off. I guess he thought it was some sort of payback or retribution for doing it. I don't know. But I maybe it means something in Turkish culture. Like I know what it means in our culture. Obviously, he was unimpressed that he had slept with his girlfriend, and the cutting off of the pecker was symbolic for the what he thought he had done. Basically, it's almost like, you know, you won't be doing that again, even in the afterlife. Totally the conversation. Yeah. Um, I have a bigger pineapple. No, I have a bigger pineapple. It definitely seems like there was a bit of male rivalry going on. Definitely. Hey, Alana. Good night, my friend. No, definitely not smart criminals. I think it was heat of the moment. I don't think the guy actually meant to kill him, because if he did, this would not be the way you would do it. You wouldn't take him to a location where you are the one who has access to it after hours. You wouldn't leave blood-soaked stuff all in the location. You wouldn't leave parts of the victim in the trash can. You wouldn't involve a third party like the Cyprian guy. Why would you do that if you were trying to be a smart criminal? So it obviously seems very heat of the moment. Yeah, Marylander says like a rage killing. Definitely. Definitely seems like he went overboard, and it maybe was supposed to maybe beat him up or something, or I don't know. You know what happens with men and women when there's like a rivalry between two guys. They might have like had a fight or something, and at some point it went too far. A knife was produced, and Cumali was stabbed in the neck, had his tip of his tongue cut off, and had his pineapple cut as well. And he died from his injuries. So what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to find who they say is the one to kill Cumali. We're trying to find Mr. Dinler. And like we read in that article and Sean said, he might be in Turkey. Is he in Turkey? I don't know. He could have left by now. It's connected to other countries. Borders are very close. It's, you know, you never know. But that's him walking through the airport. We'll have to wait and see. But if you're in Turkey, I don't know if we get many people in Turkey who watch the channel, but if you are and you see him, you should call the Crime Stoppers number in the UK or send them an email. They have an email you can call. But if you're in the UK, or I think within Europe too, you can call 0800 555 111, and that is their 100% anonymous Crime Stoppers like phone number. You can also give information anonymously through a website, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. Hold on. Actually, I'm going to show you the website. See what it says? 100% anonymous. Your IP address and location are not tracked by Crime Stoppers. They say give information anonymously, 100% guaranteed that you're not tracked in any way. They say, we are not interested in who you are, only what you know. So the more detail you give, the better. So they want people to give information. They say Crime Stoppers is not the police. We are an independent charity working to help communities. Nobody will know you have helped us. Your computer and mobile phone IP addresses cannot be tracked or saved. It is completely anonymous. So if you know where this guy is, you can report it here. There's all different ones you can report, and it says give information, and you just click the button and tell them what you know. So let me put it in the chat. There you go. Montana said, is this dismembering retaliation thing common in that country? I don't know. I think it happens a lot, but I don't know exactly what causes it. I wouldn't think it was a I wouldn't think it would be tied to Turkish culture or anything, but I mean I could be wrong. I just think it it fits the narrative of what was happening. There was a dispute over a woman. Cumali's apparently slept with Dinler's girlfriend a year or so before, apparently like a while ago, and he's very unhappy about it. And the sort of cutting off his pecker and cutting off his tongue, I think, were retribution or retaliation. I think it was just what he felt like was a punishment for what the guy had done. Cold Case Girl said he probably fled to a country where they can't extradite him. What would be the closest one to Turkey? Hold on. Turkey. Probably one of the Arab nations, I would think. Probably one of the close countries nearby. Hold on. Maybe like Georgia, Syria, something like that. Iran. Iran is across the border of Turkey. The other way is more EU countries like Greece, Bulgaria, although that's got its own history too. And if you go the other way across the other side of Turkey, yeah, you've got Armenia, Iran, Georgia, Iraq, Syria, that type of thing. So, yeah, you could get into Iran. Ain't nobody going to be extradited from that country. No one's going to get extradited from Iran to America or the UK. So, it's a possibility. The other issue you have is, do you want to live in Iran? I'm not sure if that might be the option someone would take, but yeah, that would be the choice you could have. Yeah, Syria or Iran are not going to extradite to the UK. They're just not going to. So yeah, it's a possibility. But this is the guy they're looking for, Mr. Dinler. All right, let me see if we can find anything else. So if you want to watch it and you're in the UK, head to the Channel 4 website and go to their on demand. So if you go to Channel 4 and they have a on demand bit, if I show it to you. Yeah, channel4.com, and it's literally channel number 4.com. And if you head there, it'll be on the front page if I'm correct. Or yeah, it's on the front page. So if you go to channel4.com, you can watch live TV or whatever, but you can also watch Catching a Killer. It's right on that front page, and you'll be able to watch the episode. I can't because I'm Australian, and if I try and watch it, it's going to be like, hey, you're not from the UK. See, we can try. It says sign in or register. So I can't watch it, but you might be able to if you're from if you're from the UK or Europe. So I'll put it in chat, and you guys can head to channel4.com/programs/catching a killer/on demand / a bunch of numbers. There you go. You guys can access it there. He may have gone to Cyprus. Yeah, I don't know if Cyprus has extradition. Cyprus. Not tradition. Well, Sean, it says here that Cyprus is an EU member, meaning they're part of the European arrest warrant system, and that unless you're a citizen of Cyprus, they will extradite you to the UK. So the only one you could do is okay. If you made it to northern Cyprus, they do not extradite to the UK, but the rest of the country they do, as long as you're not a citizen. If you're a citizen, they don't extradite. So there you go. That is the difference. Yeah, only northern Cyprus is considered a safe haven for fugitives from the UK, as they cannot be extradited to any country except Turkey. Interesting. So he could go there, and the only place he could be extradited is Turkey. That is very interesting. You have many army bases in Cyprus? Okay. I didn't know that about the difference between northern Cyprus and the rest of it, and that if you go to the northern part, you basically in a criminal hotbed of people running from the law, apparently. Yeah, it says here it's one of the few international safe havens left in the world for criminals. Apparently, it is not recognized by any state other than Turkey. Among the many consequences of this non-recognition is the fact there are no extradition treaties in force in relation to this territory other than with Turkey. So, yeah, if you make it there, you might be safe as a fugitive. They're saying it's one of the few safe havens in the world for those whose extradition is sought by the UK. So that may be where he was trying to get to, was northern Cyprus. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I had no idea that that was one, where if you're trying to get away from the law in the UK, you would head there. And being that it is very close to Turkey, maybe that's why the cops are worried. Maybe they think that's where he went to. Because, yeah, they haven't gone to Turkey. They're not sort of trying to find him or anything. Give me a sec. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know. You guys are saying, so if they know you're hiding out there from a crime, do they watch you expecting you to commit more crimes? I don't know. I would expect that they probably do watch you, and that if you cross a border they would be ready and waiting for you to cross. Now, if that means you head to any country that has EU regulations, they would wait and they would just nab you. So if you head to northern Cyprus, you can basically never leave if you're a criminal who is a fugitive. You can never leave because if you step foot over a border that does have help with the UK, you're done. They'll just grab you. So I don't know. Would you want to live out your life in northern Cyprus? I don't know. Considering it is a non-recognized territory or something, I don't even know what it looks like over there. It looks nice. I wonder if Google Maps have gone to Cyprus and gone on the roads there. Apparently they have. Do you guys want to see what it looks like? Let's have a look. So this is the main highway up there, apparently. It's I don't know how often the Google car has been up here, but it doesn't look like that often. These images are from 2021 and they just stop. You can't go any further. I don't think I can go any further. Apparently the Google car just didn't go any further. And that is probably because it uh, I don't know, maybe they didn't go all the way around the island. Bloody telemarketers. It's been a long day for telemarketers. Weird. All right, let's go down here. I was trying to see something interesting for you guys, but I don't see anything interesting. It's just coastline. I mean, I know it's an island, so there's not a lot out here. Can we get to a town? God, this highway goes forever. Jeez. All right, hold on. Let me switch you to another page. And then I will try and head to a place that is a bit more fun. So that was like the highway. That was out in the country bit of it. Okay, so there is no more maps. If I try and go to yeah, if I head into one of the towns, can't do it. There just no photos, no mapping. Interesting. So yeah, Google has not gone to this particular area all the way around it. Why? Maybe because it's an island? It's restricted? Yeah, it could be. But there's no mapping on the island. Like there's very little. We happened to pick a little bit that had it. Okay, it's only the highways. If I go off a highway, there's no map. So I'm sorry to to not be able to show it to you. If we go, so the northern bit, I believe, is just sort of the tip of the island, and there is stuff out there, but like some of the towns have a hotel, they've got schools and supermarkets and things like that, but other than that, they have a McDonald's, really. They have a McDonald's out there, even in northern Cyprus. There you go. That might be one of the furthest flung McDonald's. Criminals even need McDonald's. Satellite view. Yeah, I can show you the satellite view. I just can't take you down to street level. So here you go. So there's a town. And a lot of hotels for some reason. A lot of hotels. And a supermarket, but it's very rural. Look, a lot of farmland, a lot of forests as well. What's that? Yeah, just a lot of greenery. If we go further north, it gets a bit more remote. I like the name of this beach, Big Sand Beach. Very descriptive. It's just a big sand beach, so they were right. I mean, I guess maybe not a too bad of a place to hang out as a criminal. It's got beautiful blue water. It's got very pretty coastline. And then if you go further south, you get towards the normal parts of the country down here. There you go. So I'm pretty sure from my maps, the northern part is just this sort of bit up here. All right. There you go. Where the criminals hide out. They hide out at Big Sand Beach, obviously. Who the F is... Guys, hold on a sec. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Someone was calling my phone. I'm like, who the hell is that? I don't know this number. So I was trying to find out who's calling me. A telemarketer. It says a telemarketer. I've had 2 calls today from 2 different bloody telemarketers. Isn't that annoying? I don't even know any telemarketers. All right. Sean says they make halloumi cheese. That's all they're known for, right? Halloumi cheese. That sounds about right, Sean. All right. So watch the documentary if you can. I put the link in the chat, and we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully, we get a good outcome to finding Mr. Ceyhan Dinler. I hope so, because that is a brutal way to end someone's life over a woman, over a girl, just because you're like, both of them were sort of, I don't know, fighting over this woman, and it didn't need to go to this place. A detective said he's gone to an extreme in this case. He hasn't just stabbed this person multiple times. He has caused extreme pain to this person by torturing them. I agree. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else here. Okay. Essex police still want to speak to Dinler in connection with the death and said they're working with the Crown Prosecution Service to find him They said throughout this extremely challenging investigation, every officer and member of staff involved was committed to finding Cumali and securing justice for him and his loved ones. At the heart of this case is a father who lost his life in truly horrific circumstances and a young daughter who must grow up without him. We never lost sight, and we are resolute in our determination to ensure our main suspect in this case is brought before the courts. So yeah, they are steadfast in not giving up to try and find him. And here is a photo. There is like a little memorial thing that his ex-partner had in her. This is in their garden where they had like a little memorial for him, and they read it out, and it says, "You are missed each and every day, for you were someone special who meant more than words can say." And they read it out towards the end of the documentary. So I think it's a a good one to investigate. Hopefully, we get an outcome. I'm sure someone, even overseas, has seen this guy. I'm sure of it. He's very tall. He's pretty recognizable, at least I think so. And if I can get you a description of him, I will. If we can find one, hold on. Um okay, so the Detective Chief Inspector Louise Metcalf, and she says, "We are completely focused on locating Mr. Dinler so that he can answer our questions. This investigation has seen one man jailed for his part, and it is vital that we bring everyone responsible before the courts. Cumali's family deserves answers and justice. We will ensure that it happens by working closely with partners. We will not stop looking for him and appeal to him directly to contact us. If you know where he is or have any information, please contact Crime Stoppers. Speaking to them is completely anonymous and does not involve talking to police. Help us ensure there is justice for Cumali and his family. We stopped at nothing to find his body, so we could return him to his loved ones, and we are putting that same level of commitment into locating Ceyhan Dinler." So they are, yeah, they really want to track this guy down. Um, all right. And by the way, there is a reward of up to £10,000 for information that leads to him. It says here, the information has to lead to the arrest of Ceyhan Dinler, but if you do, and that information is given through Crime Stoppers, not to the police, but done through 0800 555 111, you could get £10,000 for that information. So that sounds like a good deal if you know anything about where he is. Hold on. Let's see if we can I wonder if we can find a news report from when this happened, like way back when this originally went down. Let's see if I can find one from 2024. Maybe we have to type the other name. All right, let me try the other name and see if that comes up with anything. Hmm. It's strange. I don't see anything. Yeah, nothing from back when this happened. Very strange. I would have thought there was a news article or something, but maybe it just didn't make it out of the local area back in 2024 because there is no articles from before 2025 in October that I can see. I'm checking one more place. We might be able to find something. No, it looks like when it went to trial for Cyprian, that's when the news sort of broke. Here we go. November, yeah, November 27, 2024. That's the earliest one I can find. Here. Cumali Turhan manhunt continues for suspect as second man denies role in murder of missing man. And they talk about how Cumali went missing 5 weeks ago, and police have been searching a landfill for his body. This is before they were successful and actually found him. So that's great. Hold on. Let's have a look. There's the you see the evidence marker near the barista bar. There's that bar where they believe he was killed. Anything else? That's it. That's it. And then this was from 26th of September 2025. This is when they had the trial for Cyprian, I think. And yeah, police believe the 38-year-old Ceyhan Dinler fled to Turkey after Mr. Turhan's death. And they say initially 2 body parts were found at the scene in Duke Street in Chelmsford. She added the coroner's office had been called out of hours from the crime scene to tell them the body had been found. The coroner said Mr. Turhan's provisional cause of death had been given as a stab wound to the neck. There you go, stab wound to the neck. Juries have been told the tip of Mr. Turhan's tongue and his pineapple were severed during an attack inside Barista and later found in a bin. So, yeah, all information that we heard earlier, unfortunately. But there you go. Gayla said, I wonder what he does for money. I'm not sure. And it doesn't seem to tell us whether he came from money, whether he has any like how would you survive in a foreign country? Like, do you have family there? How would you get around fleeing the UK? I doubt Turkey has any type of welfare or something for someone, even if they are from Turkey. I doubt it's probably enough to live on and rent a property or, anything like that. Let's have a look. Yep, that's it. That's all I have on that one. Okay. Who keeps messaging me? Okay. All right. Okay, we got more updates. So I've got another story that I wanted to do an update on. I just got to grab it. All right. I want to go to, I'm pretty sure this is Florida. Give me a sec. Sure. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. All right. An update out of a story that we were supposed to do yesterday, but we didn't. Man arrested in connection with the death of a woman found on Hollywood Beach. Brandon McCrae facing multiple charges after 56-year-old Heather Ansendorf found dead on beach on December 26, a couple of weeks ago. So I'll play the video, then we'll go more into it.
Meanwhile, a crack at a case. An arrest has now been made in connection to the death of a woman whose body was found on the sand near the Hollywood Broadwalk the day after Christmas.
NBC6 reporter Amanda Placencia is joining us live with more on the latest development in the case. Amanda.
Yes, Jawan, and the day after Christmas, that's when this body was found on Hollywood Beach, just near the Broadwalk. Now, police have identified that woman who died, and they've also announced an arrest in this case.
A woman's body was found on the sand, and now Brandon McCrae has found himself in jail. The 27-year-old was arrested in connection to the death of 56-year-old Heather Asendorf.
A body laying on the beach, wrapped in a white blanket.
The day it happened, we spoke with Jory Swingle. She says her aunt first noticed the body, which was discovered on Hollywood Beach on December 26, just before 7 a.m. She told her husband, who was a detective in Illinois.
I think he assessed the situation, pulled the sheet down, and was like, okay, there's blood. There's some type of trauma, is what he said.
Hollywood police then showed up to Cleveland Street and the sand to start their investigation. Foul play was suspected in her death. Investigators then taped off another area about 100 yards away. Swingles' mom discovered drops of blood there.
Was a blood trail from like where all the roads intersect down there all the way up to the fountain and beyond.
4 days later, with the help of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, McCrae was arrested at an apartment along Arthur Street at North 17th Court in Hollywood. His arrest warrant was sealed, but McCrae has been charged with 2 counts of sexual battery, kidnapping, battery, and battery by strangulation. According to court records, McCrae also has an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge from Pembroke Pines back in September of 2023. He's accused of flashing a gun at a tow truck driver who was repossessing his car.
And for this recent case, jail records show that McCrae is being held on a $770,000 bond. Live in Hollywood, Amanda Placencia, NBC6.
So pretty brutal, right? Hey, Peachy. Peachy said spam calls. It wasn't me. I don't know who this is. I'll research it after I get off the show. I think it's just some sort of stupid. You know, they sell you stuff. They try and call you, and they're like, "Hey, we want to talk to you about your energy savings," and you're like, "Piss off! Stop calling me. Go away." They're saying here the body of a 56-year-old woman, Heather, was found on the sand near Cleveland Street shortly after 7 a.m. on Boxing Day, December 26. But police haven't said how she died, just that foul play is suspected. But now they've arrested the 28-year-old Brandon McCrae, and they're saying he was arrested with help of the U.S. Marshals Task Force. Wow. You have to be a bad boy to have the U.S. Marshals come and get you. They're saying here the case remains an active criminal investigation. There is no indication of a broader threat to the community. Jail records show McCrae's being held on a $770,000 bond. According to court records, McCrae was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in September of 2023 after he allegedly flashed a gun at a tow truck driver who was repossessing his car. Anyone with information is asked to contact Hollywood Police at 954-967-4636. So, Brandon McCrae, I really want to know if we can find a photo of Heather and why and how she ended up on the sand. Yeah. Here's a photo of her right here. So she's on the right here with the blonde hair. And how she was found on the sand, we're not sure. But they're saying police have arrested a man in Florida following the discovery of a woman's body on the beach the morning after Christmas Day. They said Her body was found lying on the sand by a passerby walking along the Cleveland Street in Hollywood around 7 a.m. on December 26th. So they're saying that foul play is suspected, but have not disclosed how she died. Apparently, he faces charges of sexual battery, kidnapping, battery, and battery by strangulation. Well, that might give you a clue into how she died. They're saying that she's normally from Pennsylvania, but was known to visit the Hollywood Beach area. Authorities have not said whether she and McCrae knew each other. Seems like he's got anger issues though after pulling that gun and flashing it to a tow truck driver after the guy was trying to repossess his car. Sounds like he's got some impulse control issues. Here, I'll put her photo up so we can have a look. There's her photo. She looks like a nice lady. Wonder if we can get his arrest record. Hold on. Yeah, let me have a look. Is this him? I don't. Oh, hold on. Let me double check the photo. Nah, it's not him. There's a guy that has the same name from Florida and has similar crimes, but I don't think it's him. Different dude, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a different guy. Let's have a look. Okay. I'm trying to see if we can find the court records for it. Damn. Okay. It's not coming up for me, and it could be because Florida is racist against Australians. That could be right. What? I'm just trying to see if there's a couple of people who have similar naming. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't access it. Yes, hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Peachy says, fun fact, when you buy an office chair, most office supply stores offer a $12 one-year warranty if you bring it back before it expires and collect your brand new chair for $12. Our ones don't have anything like that. I've never heard of something like that for here. All right, guys, hold on. We got too many windows open. Hold on. We've got far too many windows open. All right, that's better. All right, what else can we find about this poor woman? There's got to be more. 28-year-old man. I find it interesting that they won't say how she died. Is it because it's not obvious or because they don't know? But I'm guessing those the charges sort of give you a picture of like what it might be. Yeah, armed sexual battery, kidnapping, battery by strangulation. And they're saying that there's more charges to follow. All right, hold on. Sorry, the lady of the house just got home. Do you want to say hi? That's it? Is that all they get? That's it, no more. How's work? It was all right. You get to wear your pretty dress today? Do you want to show them? No? No. She says no. You don't get to see the pretty dress that she's wearing for work today. Not for you. None. Okay, let's go back to our story. Sorry, I had to let her in. She's stuck out there in the 110-degree heat, and I was like, come into the air conditioning. So, all right, let's have a look. What else do we know about her? Hey, Muffin, you're not coming up here, Cat. Taken into death. Taken into death. No, taken into custody. Okay. So, yeah, it just seems like I wonder if the strangulation is the method of the killing because that battery by strangulation, 2 counts of armed sexual battery and kidnapping. It sounds like we'll get, because they said more charges will follow. So it sounds like we'll get a murder charge at some point. But that battery by strangulation tells you, is this an R word case that he R worded her and killed her in the process? That's almost what it sounds like by the charges. Let's have a look. Yeah, they won't say what the relationship between Asendorf and McCrae were before her death, nor will they say how she died. But they're saying a witness who saw her body on the beach said her body was found wrapped in a white blanket. Another witness who spoke to the news station said she saw a blood trail leading away from the body. That sounds ominous. Yeah, so currently he's in Broward County Jail where he's being held on that $770,000 bond. No next court date has been put into the system as of yet. And if we go to that image that we saw before, here, like that's where they found her on the beach. And there's that blanket. You can just make it out. You can see the officer there. There is a blanket. It looks like they did unwrap her. And that does look like a female body lying. You know, they're like, we're going to put up these screens so people can't see, except there's a bloody helicopter over the top that can see directly into what they're looking at. That definitely looks like a woman. That looks like a jaw and a head right there. So that's pretty gruesome. Pretty gruesome if you found that walking along the beach on Boxing Day. Imagine that's you. You're like, I just spent time with my family, had Christmas, and oh, we're going to go to the beach for the day after Christmas and, you know, have some fun, go for a walk, and you come across this. That's really sad. I'm sure her family miss her terribly. Let's have a look. There's got to be more about this woman. What if we go to here? Wonder if we can find her on Facebook or not. Let's have a look. Oh, she seems to be well known. There's a thing here from annual state college townie reunions, whatever that is. She says, I'm deeply saddened to share that one of our shining stars has left the stage. Heather Asendorf was a beautiful friend who will forever be in our hearts. And they have like a bunch of photos of her up on the website. Hold on, I will show it to you. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll show it to you guys. And they put up like a bunch of photos of her. That's her there. Did that look freaky to you guys when it goes like this? Ah. And then it goes like this, like that. I don't know if that lady should have posted this. It looks creepy. Look, rah, like that. I think it's a bit creepy. But that's a better photo of her. What is annual state town college reunions? What is it? An annual townie event held in July. So if you hung out in state college back in the day, you can come. Oh, it's like for people who went to that particular college. Okay, I get it. There you go. I'm not making it do that. I'm trying to get back to our other page. Someone posted this. In loving memory, Heather Assendorf. They said, we would like to offer our condolences to the family and friends of Heather. If you are part of state college music scene, no doubt you have seen Heather and her love for live music. There you go. I don't know what that means, but let's see if we can find anything else about it. There's that white sheet. You know, they talked about this white sheet. That's a better view of it right there. Look at that. So there's that white sheet they said they found her body in. And there's there's them removing her from the scene of the crime, unfortunately. She had a lot of friends. I've never seen so many people on Facebook after someone has been found deceased write in so many random pages talking about someone. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else who knew her. I'm trying to see if we can find her. Trying to see if we can find maybe her Facebook page. Heather Assendorf is the lady from the hotel. What hotel? That's weird. Look at this. Tanisha says Heather Assendorf is the lady from the hotel. What hotel? I'm very interested in what she means by hotel. Maybe when she was staying in Florida and this person works at the hotel, maybe, and they knew that she was staying at a hotel. Interesting. I'm just trying to see here. That's her Facebook. Okay, we found her Facebook. It's privated. Damn. But she's got a friend here. Steven Sarsfield. She had a very big online profile. Like her name and stuff is like everywhere. So she was very well known. There you go. A lot of people knew her. Gail said, did she live at a hotel? I don't know if she was out of town, out in Florida visiting, then maybe that's what I mean. She was staying at a hotel. Maybe that's what they mean. Like when they say that's the lady from the hotel, you know, if she was found on a beach, Maybe they had to go into her room. Maybe the cops came to check her hotel room, something like that. And that's why they're like, that's the lady from the hotel. That could be why. Happy birthday with Heather Assendorf. Here's another one of her playing live music. That's her right there in 2009. Yeah, she's well known. There is many people. There's a photo of her. Yeah. So this woman had a huge online footprint, and as you can see, apparently this is her college photo right here. Someone called Jennifer McKinley wrote, "A sweet, beautiful soul. I choose to remember Heather Assendorf as pictured in this photo. She had her struggles over the years, but I'm happy to have grown up with her. Rest easy, my friend, until we meet again." So that is when she was in college. That's pretty cool. She a lot of people in the comments saying that she was a free spirit, marched to the beat of her own drum, sort of, yeah, that type of thing. But that's her college photo. A lot of people leaving condolences for her. Yeah, it is a nice photo of the lady, isn't it? Yeah, we'll put it up here. So obviously that person on Facebook went to school with her when they were young people, maybe state college, like they said on the other post, that she obviously went to state college because that's where everyone seems to know her, is going to the annual state college townie reunion. So there's obviously a lot of people who, yeah, went to college with her. So yeah, there's an old photo of her. An events planner, singer, and performer. That's a good title. Gail said, if I go missing, my Facebook is private, but I'm friends on Facebook with Ping. I will find you. I will snoop your Facebook and I will find you like I'm doing right now. I will track you down. All right. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have much more than that, which is annoying. And wait, what was that? What name are we looking for? That's not her, but that girl has the same name, but she's young. So that's not her. I wish we had more information about her because it seems like there's a lot of interesting people who knew her. A lot of people. Sad, whoever this guy is. And I find it strange. She's an older woman, 56 years old. He's 28. I mean, not that 28 and 56-year-old people can't hang out or date or whatever, but it seems like an odd match, right? So did he abduct her off the side of the road, or were they doing some sort of I don't know, hookup or something? Did they plan to hang out while she was in town? I'm not sure, but I would like to know the backstory to that. I would like to know why him, why they were together, how they knew each other, that type of thing. So she's normally from, yeah, Pennsylvania, and had gone and spent time in Hollywood, Florida. And that's all we know right now. So we're going to have to wait and wait for an update on that one. Oh, this is interesting. Last one for tonight. I want to get you an update on Brianna Aguilera. So I'm gonna take you to KHOU, and there's new details according to a press conference today with Tony Busby.
Thank you all for coming. Of course, I have with me Stephanie Rodriguez, Brianna's mother, who is here. And the reason that we continue to pursue this, and trying to figure out what happened that night, is really because of her refusal just to accept what people are telling her that really doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot has happened since the first press conference we had back on December 5th. It's been 30 days. And now, more than we were 30 days ago, we believe even more today that this was not a suicide, as been suggested by the police. This was either an accident or something much more sinister. Although it's been 30 days, the police are no longer doing anything. They're certainly no further along than they were 30 days ago. And what we've seen is they're doing nothing. Their investigation lasted maybe a few days. They drew some hasty conclusions, and then they just quit. We've discovered, as you might imagine, since our last press conference, we've had a lot of people reach out to us. And the stories just keep coming over and over with the same refrain and the same theme, which is Austin Police Department, for whatever reason, does not thoroughly investigate deaths that occur in Austin. The investigation here lasted a few days, and then they did a hasty press conference and claimed that there was a suicide. This has become routine for the Austin Police Department, and it's extremely troubling when you can't count on law enforcement to thoroughly investigate. We expect more. This family expects more, and I think we all should expect more. I want to specifically note that there is a lot of misinformation on the internet and social media. I think you've probably seen it as well. The spread of this misinformation is hurtful and harms the legitimate investigation we are trying to conduct here. There are all kinds of nasty things floating around on Facebook and Instagram and otherwise. One of the refrains that I've seen here recently is that Brianna was an alcoholic, which is the most ridiculous thing that I think I've seen so far. This young woman rarely drank. She didn't engage in self-harm. She wasn't suicidal. She was active in the Texas A&M Pre-Law Society. She had plans to be a lawyer. She had recently registered for her next semester. She had declared her major. She wanted to study abroad. A review of her apartment and her effects of her apartment demonstrated very clearly that there was no suggestion whatsoever that this young woman contemplated hurting herself in any way.
You know, I always have a problem when people speak in absolutes. Anytime you speak in absolutes, like, she didn't want to, we know, she had plans, doesn't mean anything. There's people that plan all sorts of things and still commit the S word. And it always bugs me when he talks like that, because how do you know? Are you inside of her brain? If not, then you are guessing, just like anyone else that looks at the same information. You are guessing, and you cannot speak in absolute. It's not possible.
And frankly, there was no suggestion that she drank alcohol on a regular basis. So that kind of misinformation that's out there, it's very troubling. In most cases, it's page after page of artificial intelligence images and stories on Facebook and Instagram that churn out false headlines for views and clicks. I'm sure you've seen them as well. I'm not sure who's behind that foolishness, but it seems to happen every time there's something of note in the press, anytime there's something that's kind of a high-profile matter such as this. So I would caution everyone to be careful what you read and whether you believe it, because most of the stuff that you see on Facebook, Instagram, and the other social media sites is nothing but pure junk.
I take the same advice and apply it to him. I mean, I don't believe everything you say, yet alone, like, I apply the same reasoning to the information he's putting out. Even though I understand he probably has a better inside view to it all, but why should we believe anything he has to say either? You know, it does. You have to take a cynical look, a critical look at it too.
It's been 30 days. In that time, we've expended substantial resources working to find the truth about what happened to Brianna Aguilera on the night of November 28th, 2025. We've engaged 2 different private investigation firms. The investigation firm of HRG Investigations even volunteered to take on this matter pro bono, and they've done a wonderful job of finding and interviewing witnesses and recovering data that we believe will be key to understanding what happened on that fateful night. Today we have with us Joel Gonzalez and Donovan Harmon of both of these 2 different investigation firms. They, along with us, have expended more than 200 hours investigating this matter, talking to witnesses, running down video, and et cetera. There's a lot more work to do, but I want to personally thank them on behalf of this family for this important work. Now, I'm going to do something that's a little unconventional. You may recall that the last time we were together, I told you that we had already found witnesses that, turn that around if you don't mind, Ryan. We'd already found witnesses that absolutely demonstrate that the timeline put together by the Austin Police Department is complete and utter junk. This is the timeline that the police department laid out in their hasty press conference that they did the day before I did my last one. And there's some key entries on this timeline. They claim that there was a call that took place at 12:43 to 12:44 a.m. with someone else's telephone because Brianna didn't have her phone. And then they say at 12:46, the officers responded to a 911 call. And then, of course, it wasn't until 12 the very next day until the individuals that were still in that apartment.
I feel like we're just repeating stuff that we've already heard. So let me just break it down and bring you to the points that are new today, okay? Let me take you to what actually is said in this press conference. Tony Busby, who represents Brianna's parents, said they are filing a lawsuit, and it is against Austin Blacks Rugby and UT Latin Economics and Business Association. And they're saying here it is in connection to her death. The other thing that is new today is that a witness has come forward, and this is the crux of it all. Rodriguez is her last name. Dana is the first name, represented by Busby as well. She lives across the hall from the apartment that Brianna had been at on the night in question. At around 12:30 a.m., a loud argument is heard coming from the apartment, and it woke her up. After a large group left the apartment a few minutes later, she heard a female arguing with others and sounds of people pacing back and forth by the front door. She then heard the kind of screaming someone makes when you accidentally drop something, and she said it was coming from a female's voice. Rodriguez said her mother also heard the scream and that her father thought the argument had been coming from the balcony. Shortly after her death, Brianna's, the neighbor immediately vacated the apartment. And she says, the only thing I've received from the Austin PD is a generic email sent to all residents of 21 Rio. So let me take you forward and this is her here.
Hello, my name is Dana Veronica Rodriguez. I am providing this statement on behalf of myself and my parents in hopes that this information will assist with the investigation into the death of Brianna Aguilera. Till this date, the Austin Police Department has not interviewed me or requested a statement. The only thing I have received from the Austin Police Department is a generic email sent to all residents of the 21 Rio apartment complex. I hope they listen to this statement and understand I am willing to cooperate in this investigation. I live at 21 Rio apartment complex on the 17th floor. On November 28, 2025, my parents were visiting me at the time and staying at the apartment. I was neighbors with Natalie. She literally lived right across from me. This is my apartment door to that table. That's how close we were, and the walls are very thin. mind you. My parents were visiting me at the time and staying at my apartment. I was neighbors with Natalie, Brianna Aguilera's friend. My front door faced her door. I believe I was neighbors with her for around a year or so. I ate dinner with my parents around 6 p.m. that evening. We enjoyed a lazy night together. I don't really like football, but my parents had it on the TV. I went back to my room after eating dinner and watched some movies. I heard through text messages and social media that UT had won the game against UTN-A&M. I figured Natalie would throw a after party after what had happened to previous home games. She would usually throw some parties, after parties, pre-games. It was usual, so I was like, oh, okay, there's going to be some noise. The walls in my apartment are very thin. My room is right next to my door and the apartment facing across from me. In the hallways, I can hear everything and inside Natalie's apartment, so this isn't new to me. Before November 28, 2025, heard her having parties and other people over conversating inside that specific apartment. At approximately 11 p.m., I began hearing people entering Natalie's apartment. Loud music began playing like a party started. I know this occurred at 11 p.m. because I was FaceTiming my boyfriend and he kind of made a comment saying, oh my gosh, it's so loud I can hear the party from next door. After speaking with my boyfriend, I visited with my mom and took my dog Bear outside to use the restroom, but
These all seem like just like, why are we hearing all this? Just say what you know. I appreciate you coming forward, but do we need the 4-hour documentary on it? Just tell us the bits that actually relate to Brianna. Like half this stuff, like I took my dog outside, no one cares. Just tell us what you heard.
she didn't want to go. She wasn't cooperating with me. This was around midnight at the time. Bear did not want to cooperate, so I brought her back inside and asked my mom if she can take Bear outside. And it was kind of weird that my dog didn't want to go outside because around this time, it wasn't really noisy. There wasn't a lot of people going in and out of our apartment. I think they were still at the tailgates or afters. This is the time that people were kind of just partying in their own apartments. I know the time was 12:15 a.m. because that's when I saw my mom returned with my dog Bear. And I also checked my phone when my mom entered the room. I tried to fall back to sleep in my room. My parents were trying to fall asleep in the living room in my apartment on an air mattress. At around 12:30 a.m., I woke up to people yelling at each other. It sounded like they were arguing. I then suddenly heard the sound of a large group of people leave Natalie's apartment. The loud music then was turned off. I recall checking my phone, and this occurred around 12:30 a.m. I tried to go back to sleep. A few minutes later, I began hearing a girl arguing with other people. It sounded like it was multiple people in the apartment pacing back and forth, so it was hard to recall what was said in the arguments.
Yeah, I agree with you all. This is like the longest version of this. The actual, like, important bit here, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to establish a timeline, but you can just say, this is why I know what time it was. Like, you don't have to do a 30-minute thing where you're like, I peed, I went outside, I saw a frog, there was a moon in the sky, a car went by. Like, you don't need to do that. Just tell us that, like, it was 12:15. I knew that because the donkey was outside. Like, just, that's fine. Then tell us a bit that matters, which he's only just up to right now. It's very frustrating to listen to.
I heard pacing back and forth throughout the apartment, like the arguing was coming closer to the door and heading to the backside of the apartment. My mother commented to me, oh my gosh, they keep arguing. I think I'm about to go over there and say something because it's really loud. And Bear, my dog, began barking a lot. She's, mind you, trained to let us know when a burglar comes or when someone's, making a lot of noise. And one thing my dog hates.
Apparently, the dog is trained to bark at people having a party. That she says it's trained for burglars. No, I think your dog's trained to bark at people having fun.
Is arguing. So she was growling a lot towards my front door, like, towards the entrance of their apartment. Shortly.
P.S. She must be a fun neighbor. The fact that her dog barks at any loud noise at midnight. Everyone must love her there.
Afterwards, all of us heard loud screaming, the kind of screaming someone makes when you accidentally drop something. I was letting them know that it was like the type of scream when you drop like an heirloom that's really important and you're like, oh my gosh, like really bad, right? My mom commented that she thought maybe they dropped a drink inside, like a glass drink, and it made a mess everywhere and they broke something on accident. My dad said he thought the girls were arguing outside. He thought because he could hear the arguing from our own balcony, that's on the opposite side of their apartment, as if the voices were coming from outside. Anything that happens outside, we can hear everything because it just echoes. I recall my dad saying, I hope they're not arguing on the balcony, God forbid. Eventually, the loud noises and arguments, screaming stopped. I could still hear conversations going on in Natalie's apartment. My understanding is Natalie immediately vacated her apartment after Brianna died. And over the Christmas break, my parents and I saw through the peek hole. That's how close her door is. Her parents were grabbing things from her apartment, vacating out of the apartment.
I don't know why this is such a big deal in this case, that people keep going back to the fact that the girl vacated the apartment. Would you want to live somewhere where someone jumped to their death? If that's what it is, say let's just play the game that will believe the Austin PD narrative. Like, would you want to stay somewhere where a girl you knew jumped to her death? I don't understand why people have such a big problem with that. Should the girl have lived there and reminded herself about what happened every single day for the rest of her life? I don't get why people are so triggered over the oh, she vacated the apartment. I would too. I wouldn't want to live there. I wouldn't want to live somewhere where someone felt the need to do that out of my balcony or something like that. I just don't get why that's such a big focal point constantly with this whole investigation.
I do not believe the police were ever in Natalie's apartment during this investigation. My parents would have notified me. I would have known. That's how much I can hear the footsteps and everything from my apartment. The walls are just so thin. I hope this statement brings light to the situation. My heart goes out to Brianna and her parents. Thank you for listening to me today.
We are thankful for listening to you. Yes, thank you. I mean, I don't get it. So she's being represented by Tony Busby too. Is she hoping to get a check out of this? Because why would a witness from across the other side of the hallway need a lawsuit lawyer? Because that's what he is. Let's all just be honest. The most things he does is get settlements on things. Why does she need Tony Busby to represent her if she just heard a couple of things across the hallway? What exactly is she going to try do? I'm confused by that, about why you need an attorney. It's Texas said, did Natalie have a roommate? I'm not sure. I thought she did, but I would have to double check. Cowgirl says, sounds like a lot of Boulder Dash. It sounds like trying to make more out of it than it is. It sounds like a bunch of drunk girls were in an apartment. What is that going to sound like after they've been drinking all afternoon and all evening? I guarantee they're going to be loud. I know she says that she's known Natalie to have these type of parties for tailgating and stuff before for the football games and that she sort of knows what it sounds like. Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah, I don't understand why she had to add in the bit about her neighbor, Natalie, vacating immediately after. Well, it seems like actually a natural thing to do. After lunch group. The bit that's interesting out of what she has to say is probably the bit where she talks about the large group of people left the apartment a few minutes later, and then she heard a female arguing with others and sounds of people pacing back and forward by the front door. Then heard the scream, the kind of scream someone makes when you accidentally drop something like an heirloom. Though that's probably the small bit that I think is pertinent to all of this. How you apply it to what happened to Brianna, I'm not sure, because when you hear stuff, I live in an apartment. When you hear stuff from outside, it's very hard to always kind of make sense of exactly what's going on. I know from living in my own apartment and having neighbors and hallways and things like that, that like I've sat in here, Mrs. Ping, we're talking about like living in apartments and things like that. I've said things like X, Y, and Z is going on out there. And then we found out later that's not what happened and that's not what was going on at all. Right? Like I've done that more than once where I've gone, that's what's going on out there. And you're like, oh, well, it could be. And then we find out a week later it was something completely different. Yeah, that's happened at least 50 times since I've lived here. And I've said, oh, I think it was this or that. And, that's what it sounds like. And yeah, we've found out it was nothing even close to that. It was something different. It was some other type of event going on. And so I think it's hard to put a ton of credibility into what neighbors can fully hear in an apartment and what they actually mean. But I'll say that those two bits are probably the most interesting or pertinent to the investigation. The scream and the sounds of arguing. Those two things are probably out of that entire 5-10 minute talking. That's what it will boil down to, is like just those 2 points. And what do they mean? And do they mean anything at all? They might not. It might have been just people, when you've got 12 people in a tiny apartment and they're all walking around getting drinks, doing stuff. Who knows what it is? So it's hard to apply it to what actually happened to Brianna, because we don't fully know exactly what happened in that apartment with Natalie and Brianna and the other girls. And then, yeah, it's hard to actually make out what value does it have. So we'll probably have to wait and see. And I think you would need to know Natalie's version of events of what happened that night. Then you could probably cross-check between them. But I don't think we have that. I don't think we have any of the witness statements except for this woman. I don't think we have anyone else's. I'll double check now, but I don't think so. Where is it? Yeah, I'll check if we have Natalie's version. Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it, unfortunately. And it doesn't look like it's been released publicly at all. So that's just what we're going to have to deal with, unfortunately. So it was also done here. They also had a version of it up here.
Most of the stuff that you see on Facebook, Instagram, speak to her lawyers. We've had many people reach out to us. Many have the same story about the Austin Police Department. The Austin Police Department is loath to dig deep. They look for the most expedient conclusion. One individual I talked to, a father, a very prominent person, I won't mention his name, told me about his son's death in Austin. He said the Austin Police Department concluded within a few days that his son's death was a suicide. And his grieving father fought with the Austin Police Department for many, many months to get them to do their jobs. And I'm talking about a prominent person, somebody you would all know, someone who's familiar with government and the way it works and the way it's supposed to work. This man, in his grief, had to hire his own investigators. He had to go to court and get a court order to get a second autopsy done. He got no help from the Austin Police Department. They closed ranks on him, just like they're closing ranks here. And they treated him as if he were some type of wrongdoer, just because he was just wanting to find out what happened to his son. All he wanted to know was what happened to his son. He wanted the death of his son investigated properly. I mean, it's not like we're asking a whole lot. We're asking the police department to do its job, to talk to all the witnesses, tell us who you spoke to, what they had to say, and everything that you did, and tell us why you've reached this conclusion. They won't do that. They can't do that, because if they were to do that, they would be exposed as jumping to conclusions and not doing their work. So here's the problem. The witnesses who know the most will not speak. And other minors, but we will also be able to subpoena individuals and documents and video and data so we can continue our investigation.
So that's basically why they're opening the lawsuit. The lawsuit is basically so they can grab information with the subpoenas. That's all they're going to do. They want to know how that investigation played out, and that's the purpose, or at least that's what they're saying, is the purpose of the lawsuit, so they can pull information from the Austin PD, because right now Austin PD have no obligation to give them anything. Like he says, oh, we want the who they spoke to and the this and that. Austin PD have no obligation to hand that over to anyone. So they will, that's what they want. They want that information. Sean said, so the family wants the case worked on, basically. No, the family's saying that they don't agree with the Austin PD's assessment of the case, and they don't believe the conclusion that they've come to, and they think that it was rushed and that it is basically it wasn't done thoroughly. That they think that it was basically, they just looked at it and went, oh, it's an S word, done, close the case, finished. They're saying that not all witnesses have been spoken to. They're saying that they believe it needed much more investigation, and they think that coming to the conclusion within a few days of Brianna dying is irresponsible. That's what they're saying. They want it worked on for, longer. They want it more in depth. They want more people spoken to. They want, that type of thing. I want to know what happened with him and the Texas Rangers. Last time we heard from him a month ago, he was saying, well, if Austin PD doesn't put on a new detective on the case, that we want to take it to the Texas Rangers for them to investigate. Well, that never happened. Like, what happened to that? He was threatening that last time.
But this will give us the ability to get to the bottom, once and for all, what happened that night. If the police department will not do their jobs, then we'll do it for them. So the takeaway from today's conference is this. We do not believe this was a suicide. We don't believe any of the facts whatsoever support that at all. We believe, based on our investigation, that Brianna was not alone in that apartment when she went over that railing. We don't know why she went over the railing. We're not suggesting anybody pushed her over the railing or anything in that sort at this point in time. We're simply saying that the witnesses that we have spoken to make it very clear that there was an argument that was taking place amongst several individuals in that apartment immediately before this young woman fell to her death. That's as far as we can go at this point. So the takeaway is this ain't over. This is far from over. We're going to get to the bottom of what happened. And now we're going to be able to do it with subpoena power and the power to compel the testimony of witnesses. And no matter what the answer turns out to be, no matter how painful it might be, we're going to get that answer. And I really appreciate your attention. And if you are a witness and you have information,
Well, there you go. I don't know. Yeah, the question is, and I think he tried to answer it there. If they come to the same conclusion with a deeper investigation, would the family accept it? And I think that's the big question because I don't know. I'm not the family. I don't know. Um, Gail said, but will the family be happy if there's a full investigation and come up with the same answer? I got no idea. It doesn't seem like it, but maybe they would. Sean said, that's what I mean. Looks like the media coverage will put a rocket up the investigators. They're just saying, the Austin PD are saying that it's always been an open investigation, that it is continuing and has not closed, that it's not a finalized case. So, yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, that was an interesting that was an interesting investigation. Yeah, like we don't know. We'll find out. But basically, Aguilera's family have rejected the manner of Brianna's death, stating that detectives labeled the entire case prematurely without properly investigating entirely. So they're saying it needs to be more people spoken to. There's key points they want looked at and explained. So they want certain things like what happened in that apartment, why was there screaming, why was people running around, all those type of things. They want an explanation to it. They're going to now use the lawsuit to compel people to give evidence in a court of law about how they investigated the case and how they came to the conclusion that it was an S word. So we'll have to wait and see what the lawsuit comes up with, and we'll see. Yeah, so Busby added that the lawsuit would allow him access to evidence he hasn't been able to obtain without a grand jury subpoena. So that's what they're looking for now. The lawsuit is seeking recovery of up to $1 million, along with pre-judgment and post-judgment interest, cost, punitive damages, and all other and further relief to which the plaintiffs may show themselves justly entitled. So there will probably be a settlement at some point, I would say. There'll probably be a settlement for a big amount of money. Gail said a super slide, maybe. All right. All right. I think we're done for tonight. Hold on, I just want to check something up here. Let me check. All right. All right, yeah, so that's it for tonight. Covered 3 cases and it took up almost 2 hours. That was a bit more in depth than we normally do. I'll be back tomorrow. I love you all. By the way, now that my life is sort of going back to a bit more of the way it was, we can start to do a few more early shows each week. So instead of always being so late at night, we will be able to go back to being a bit more earlier in the night. And that's because we don't have to go so many places anymore for Mrs. Ping during the week. We had to for a long time for her recovery, but we don't have to anymore now that she's sort of got her clean bill of health and she's back to doing all her normal stuff. And I have the time to do my own things now. So, yeah, it's fixed now, thank God, because it's hot. Yeah, thank you guys. I love you all. Hey, if you want to help out the channel, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button or the thumbs up. And that would really, really help me out. Also, some nice people also support the channel financially and send in donations. Sean sent one in tonight. I very much appreciate it. Plus the super chat from Sean. And Peachy sent in a super chat as well. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, it's not as hot tomorrow. 40 degrees right now in Melbourne, 110 degrees roughly Fahrenheit. It is a hot night, although there is a sea breeze that has come in the last half an hour that's dropped the temperature a little bit, which is nice. Thank God. All right. See you tomorrow. Good night, everyone. Bye.